ladies and gentlemen. My name is Emily Sophia, and I'm going to be walking you guys through the latest of Hannibal, so welcome to the Thought Feast. Spoiler alert before we go forward, as I will be bearing all in this review. For those of you who have not been to my corner of the universe, and feel free to check out some of my other links in the description. I am also currently reviewing Bates Motel, just finished up The Walking Dead. I will be starting Game of Thrones for the first time this upcoming week. All kinds of fun stuff. It's just a great time to be alive as far as television goes. And without further ado, let us get into the mad thick of things. So I have to say, without a doubt, this was one of my favorite episodes of the entire season. There was just so much that was so richly and horrifically done. The episode just contained, it was a work of art made of works of art that all meshed so perfectly to just disturb to the very core of your being and, you know, to the moon and back. It was great. It was grisly. It was horrifying, and we had a lot of wonderful twists. And I first must explore some of the parallels between this episode and some of the other Hannibal movies, and I can only assume the novels as well. I have not read the books. I've only seen Silence of the Lambs and the Hannibal movie. I actually haven't seen the Red Dragon movie because I am a slacker and one who fails at life like a champion. So that is something that I intend to watch, and once I graduate from college, I've also got Thomas Harris's novels on my radar. But scenes that very closely, if not exactly, paralleled scenes from the films. Number one, we had the scene where Abel Gideon comes crashing down on the floor, and the orderly or what have you, who is doing his research, you know, letting the clock run, and he's got his cup of coffee and the blood drips from the ceiling and into his tea, and he looks up, and the whole, that was very much reminiscent of the infamous elevator scene from Silence of the Lambs. For those of you who have not seen that film, I shan't say anything further other than congratulations Bryan Fuller and team for being so astute and just on top of things with this intertextuality of films and television. It's just, I was really excited. That was not lost on me. And by the way, for those of you who are Twitter fiends like myself, I highly encourage you to follow Bryan Fuller's official Twitter page. He live tweets every single Friday night with all kinds of awesome little behind the scenes tidbits. If you are wondering at any point in time what the song is in the background, the concept art, continuity photos, he just gives you all kinds of wonderful gifts to supplement the one and only Hannibal experience, so I suggest that you check him out. It's real good stuff. It makes for a very entertaining ride, so when you're sitting there, you know, jaw dropped to the floor during the commercial breaks, run on over to Mr. Fuller's page and he'll keep you good company. Anyway, so we have that scene. We also have the scene where Hannibal has just bedded Alana Bloom, and he hears the doorbell ring and, you know, just kind of mentions on the fly that the last person to ring the doorbell was a census taker. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Need I even say it? Silence of the Lambs. So many exhilarating little moments, and last but not least, of course, that incredible twist when Jack comes upon the killer headquarters and he takes open the lid. And who do we find inside? I thought for a split second that it was going to be Abigail, but it was none other than Miriam Lass, who we had only been introduced to via flashback, and that, you know, kind of built up via the discussions of characters. Apparently she is still, and unfortunately, in the picture. judging by what she has had to live with after the piece of her that emerged last season. So that was, and that scene was also very much reminiscent of Silence of the Lambs, with the prisoner of, oh my gosh, is it Buffalo Bill? Is that the guy? I might be conflating a couple of different, you know, sociopathic legends, but that's what I'm thinking it is. And then also a little reference to the Hannibal film as well, where we have Abel Gideon having his last supper, dining upon himself. And yeah, it was just a great episode, and especially just keeping your mind in tune and just picking up on all those references. I very much appreciated that. There was so much about this episode that was so ridiculously off the charts, artistic and just theatrical as always. Hannibal himself even used that word when he was referring to the dish that he had prepared for Gideon, of Gideon. For the people, by the people, to the people, of the people, in the people, you know. It's it's very pervasive. Anyway, so let's kind of break down everything that happened as far as character by character. So we kind of had Will Graham taking more of a backseat position as far as the narrative of this episode goes. However, we did get to enjoy a dinner party, and it had been quite a long time since we had the pleasure. And I have to say that this season has really stepped it up as far as the use of music to enhance the sheer, I mean, just the truly disturbing nature of everything. And again, Brian Fuller tweets out the names of all the songs, and it's everything from Beethoven to Felix Mendelssohn. And yeah, there was one song by Felix Mendelssohn that I think was maybe being listened to by Hannibal and Alana Bloom at some point. I love Mendelssohn. It was one of his songs without words, and I'm a huge fan of the Venetian Boat song. I actually typically use one of my recordings, one of my own personal recordings and covers of, yeah, the Venetian Boat song, Songs Without Words, Felix Mendelssohn. There's a lot of interesting ways in which I personally connected with this episode in just the, you know, the randomest corners. And that's what really got me to sink my teeth in, and how the episode really sunk its teeth into me. So we kind of begin with what's going on with Will Graham. And it's like Alana says, and what everyone's starting to see, is that Will Graham is playing a game. And he is not afraid to step up and to take, not merely taking chances, he has truly nothing to lose. So he's going all in, and it kind of makes him a really fearsome figure, not only to the people in his universe and in his kind of inner circle, and everyone's kind of slowly starting to back away, and that circle is kind of starting to fade into the oblivion because nobody really wants to deal with this guy, although he and Chilton are pretty much the most in tune out of anyone in the show right now, which I think is kind of ironic. I really like the type of character that Chilton has emerged as in the show. I really didn't care for him whatsoever last season because he just pretty much snarked up a storm with everybody and got himself into messy situations, but this season he is one of the few who kind of gets it, and he's quite comical. I enjoy watching him very much, and the way that the actor plays him too is with great finesse and sass, and that is something that I can appreciate the crap out of. At any rate, Will is playing hardcore. He's trying to get Gideon to testify. He has these passive-aggressive face-offs with, or the one face-off with Hannibal, where that was, I mean, truly, if you were trying to learn the art of passive aggression, take that one scene in the prison and just hit repeat. Check it out, because there were some seriously veiled shots fired in that department. And so he is at last in a place where he's trying to figure out how to get people to a place where they will see what's going on, and he poses a challenge to Jack Crawford, saying, you know, how many people does this guy have to kill before you open your eyes? And apparently it's gonna be him. Poor old Jackie. But at any rate, and of course we also get one of his sort of surrealist dream sequences where the stag antlers are bursting forth from his body, because he too senses the darkness into which he, you know, the darkness that he's given himself to in pursuing this path of violent retribution against Hannibal. The fact that he is willing to sacrifice so much, even his innocence, to take this guy out. But it completely and utterly makes sense. We have the entire first season as precedence for his actions and why he's going the way he's going. Of course, it's alienated just about everybody on the block from him, but it's worth it in his book. If you're gonna play with the king, you gotta be ready to take on the the pressure yourself. Yeah, so there is just a lot of really fascinating stuff. So it was more discussions around Will Graham than Will Graham having an actual presence in the episode, but I think that was really meaningful. And in that, we got to see how Alana is distancing herself from Will Graham, and she sees herself as having buried this friend, and the funeral sex, as they call it, that situation led to for her. And her really coming on to Hannibal. I mean, Hannibal's just in this constant state of pretty much seducing anybody he possibly can. He is just like, that is his life. That is his practice, and just the way that he goes about things in general. And so it's more of Alana choosing to act in return, and Hannibal sees this as an excellent opportunity. Why the hell not? And I also think it's really fascinating and upsetting, suffice it to say, how Hannibal is putting up this front of wanting to put all the death and despair and everything behind him. You know, before Jack Crawford, he's making this whole show of wanting to just remove himself from the past and to begin anew. And now, you know, just as Will Graham said, he's going to mark the rise of the Ripper with a dinner party, and surely enough, that is precisely what Hannibal does, under the guise that he's moving away from all things death and clinging to life. But we know that Hannibal has a very different concept of life as compared to most other living beings, if he can be understood as one of them, or dare I say, us. And so it's just really wild how he is trying to take his darkness and completely and utterly bestow it upon Will, not just sort of feeding it to him or sharing the darkness with him, but he is presenting himself as wholly giving that darkness over to Will. And you know, so it's as if he is possessed by it in Hannibal's eyes, and just the wicked game that he plays, it's seamless, it's horrific. I'm ready for hell to break loose because it is behind every door, in every corner, just beneath every surface. It's time for it to break onto the scene so we can just experience the flood and then let it go. See what world comes out from under the waves, so to speak. But and of course we also had, you know, yet another batch of incredibly artful murder crafts. What with the tree people stuffed with flowers in place of organs, and it kind of relates to this whole idea of Hannibal seeking life and vitality and beauty with all of his his harpsichord solos and his, I love like just how absurd it was as Hannibal is writing this piece, and the camera focuses on his eye, which turns into a flower, which turns into this like Alice in Wonderland world of craziness. That was such a weird trip. The show is just, it is only getting more and more over the top, but I love it. It's just outlandish. And you can't help but just get lost in it. And it, you know, if you have lost as much of your sanity as I have, it just allows you to laugh. Because it's just so crazy, and there's nothing you can do about it, and it is complete and utter irony at every corner. So you're just, oh, it's wonderful. So I think that it's safe to assume that the Chesapeake Ripper is the source of these artfully crafted nature style murders. Especially, it's kind of a dead giveaway. We can see it in his eyes, the pupils of which turn into flowers, and the notes that he's writing turn into the flowers of the bodies, and he's just, you know, the Emperor's getting his new groove. He's innovating. He's doing what he can to enjoy what he can while he can. As you can see in the preview for next week, the game is about to shift yet again as Will Graham is walking free and attempts to take care of things once and for all, but there is a certain issue with the gun, the means to the end of ending the notorious faux friend turn foe. Yeah, I mean, we are getting really close to the end game of this season. People are starting to find out. We can see with all the tensions present at the party, and with Jack as well. This episode was really centered on his experience a lot too, and how he and Chilton are kind of jointly confronting the issue of, okay, we're dealing with these arguably delusional psychopaths who are all in some bizarre way testifying to Hannibal being the cannibal, being the Ripper, and so they're trying to confront this issue, this latent reality. It's something that Chilton is more willing to believe than even Jack is. And he thinks that he's so clever in his simple little, I'm just gonna get in, get out, take this food to go to the lab, and of course Hannibal himself is prepared for that. And yet ultimately further evidences found by the team lead to the recovery of Miriam Lass. And exactly what kind of, I mean, I would definitely say that she is going to be a major link in all of this. We'll see what she even manages to testify depending on how things go after Jack's discovery. But just a truly nuts episode. Very rich, very full of the macabre and the humor that we come to love from the show. And we're seeing a Hannibal remade. You know, he's just broken up with his bromantic partner in crime, as has Alana Bloom. And so in their mutual breaking up with Will, they get together, and I pretty much have come to terms with the fact that Alana's gonna kick it by the time all is said and done. I mean, the trailers for this season were very much spoiler filled, and there are some scenes that seem to indicate that she's going to have that moment of discovery that, well, we walked into the show with. So sorry, honey, couldn't exactly help you out from the nosebleed section here, but yeah, so their relationship, of course, creates a very interesting set of circumstances. And I must say, the two of them playing chopsticks together, that just about broke this camel's back. That I just couldn't even handle it. And then, of course, he steals away into the soft glow of the moonlight to free himself. A little sack of meat, not without creating a show on the way, but we are continuing to see into the true nature of Hannibal in this series, and what we are finding is, I mean, I find myself so much more disgusted with everything at absolutely every turn, and it's just, I don't even know what's going on anymore. Every single episode itself just feels like such a drug trip. And the episodes are so incredibly well done and highly produced, and the sheer art factor is just, it works me over. It is quite a sensory experience, and that is what this episode definitely proved to be. This is Hannibal's form of sass, of, well, I'm gonna see what happens, and yo to the low, I'm gonna do me. I am going to be as brilliant as can be. The Shakespeare of the sociopathic culinary fantasia, whatever you want to call it. He's out there. He's out there. This episode was out there, and it was incredibly exciting to see. And as all the characters are coming to this dark awareness, Alana Bloom is, of course, trying to shield herself from everything. And I mean, the reasons that she articulates for this affair with Hannibal, the whole funeral sex and the, you know, trying to walk away from the Will Graham situation, and of course into the arms of the man who created the Will Graham situation, it's upsetting to those of us who were Alana fans and who felt or hoped that Alana was going to be an advocate for Will this season. But it's all part of Hannibal's perfect design, and it's something that is ever shifting as he goes, and that's what freaks us out. That's what keeps us addicted, is just the gambles that Hannibal is so keen on taking, and yet the fact that this all seems so premeditated at the same time. It's beyond us. It's something that we get, and that we are terrified and aggravated by because we get it, and yet it is just totally beyond otherworldly what is ensuing with this man, this feature or creature of myth that Hannibal has become, and he don't mind it. He's comfortable in his own skin, and with doing creative things with that of others. That's what we gotta know at the end of the day, and his way with the world is what makes the show so fascinating. We still have some new characters, new major characters that are going to be coming into the fray soon. Feel free to leave any and all thoughts in the comments, as always. Fill in the gaps that I inevitably left, but yeah. Just there are no words. There are no words for the madness. The game is heating up, and I am delighted to warm my hands over the fire. Attempt not to get consumed by the tongues of fire, and just, you know, take what comes. The show has developed so beautifully. Can we please get a third season announcement already? Because I know that the ratings have been going up, and I want it. I want it all. Everything. Every piece. It's great. Thank you again so much for watching. How did you like this episode? What did you see? What did you feel? Who are you into? Who are you not quite? I still have hopes that Bedelia is gonna swoop in and save the day, along with Bella. All the ladies are just going to create a powerhouse team and rescue the right people. I mean, the only person whose fate I'm really unsure of right now is Will Graham. Don't quite know what to expect, because it seems like just about everybody else is supposed to go down, but I mean, Hannibal, like, well, arguably, he likes to keep his adversaries around despite his whole show of peace, hiding behind his elaborate everythings. He likes to have a mind match of some sort, even if it will lead to the demise of the freedom that he's enjoyed. Just likes it too much. He is by no means a simple cut and dry sociopath, and that's just what I like in a man. I don't know about you, but it works for me. So thank you again for being the most marvelous audience. We will talk more soon, and I'll be back before you know it.